So did you know Danielle Smith is going out of her way to pave the way to spend over $40 million for a tiny group of Albertans to force a vote on separating from Canada, something more than 3/4 of Albertans say they don't actually want to do? Let me explain. See, at a committee meeting this past November, I asked the chief electoral officer how much it cost to hold a provincial referendum vote. And he said about the same as a provincial election, around $43 million. $43 million. Just imagine what the UCP could do with that to make your life better. Think about it. What would you want them to do? Maybe you'd like to see it spent to address the crisis in our healthcare system, like hundreds of Alberta doctors have been begging the UCP to do over the last month. To ensure that no one else suffers the fate of Prahant Srikumar, the 44-year-old father of 3 who died after waiting 8 hours in an Edmonton ER with severe chest pains. Well, too bad. The UCP's Minister for Hospitals, Matt Jones, he says he has all the resources he needs. No crisis here, no emergency, no need for critical action. Or maybe you'd like to see those dollars go to address the pressures in our school system, overcrowded classrooms, a shortage of teachers and educational assistants to help your kids. Well, nope. According to the UCP, that's also not a real problem. They're already spending enough. The only immediate action they were willing to take was to strip teachers of their charter rights and force them and their students back into overcrowded classrooms without enough support. Oh, and they'll throw in a little task force, maybe a report sometime later this year. Or maybe you'd like to see the UCP spend that $43 million to help address the soaring number of people with no housing of their own that we see every day on our streets here in Edmonton. Well, the UCP, in November, the responsible minister, Jason Nixon, he told me it's just a made-up NDP crisis. Now, last week, in the middle of a cold snap, shelters in Edmonton were at 102% capacity. And last year, amputations from frostbite hit record highs. But the UCP, no, they say they've done enough. No additional resources available or needed. No action needed right now. But you know who did get this government's attention? Who got the UCP to actually change legislation, commit tens of millions of dollars to make their lives easier and get what they want? Alberta Separatists. Danielle Smith last year changed the law twice to make it easier for them to get the signatures they need to force you to have a vote on whether Alberta stays in Canada. And when the chief electoral officer followed the law and sent the Separatist question to the court for review, well, Danielle Smith changed the law. She cut out the CEO. She cut out the courts altogether just to ensure Alberta Separatists would have a clear road to get their question through. And once they did get their question approved, Danielle Smith raised the application fee for referendum petitions from $500 to $25,000. Because apparently that one-time entry-level pricing was just for her friends. Friends like Jeffrey Rath, who calls Canada a communist country and cheers for President Trump to punish Canadians. Who's going to meet with members of the Trump administration to ask about getting a $500 billion loan for his independent Alberta. Now, Danielle Smith, the premier who has no time for doctors, nurses, other frontline healthcare workers, no time for teachers, students, and educational assistants, no time for people with no housing who are living on our streets, well, she's rolling out the red carpet, committing to spend millions of dollars for a referendum on separatism to keep her own political party from falling apart. Only 29% of Albertans say they'd vote for separatism, and of those, half say it's just to get Ottawa's attention. They don't actually want to leave Canada. But for Danielle Smith, the 70% of Albertans who oppose separatism, who'd rather see their government get to work on the things that actually matter to them, healthcare, education, safety, the cost of living, well, they don't matter. The cost to our economy, to jobs, to the cost of living as she creates chaos and scares away investment, well, that apparently doesn't matter either. Because in Danielle's view, she needs the separatists to stay in power. And she thinks she can take everyone else, including you, for granted. So maybe it's time that we should remind her that she should care about your opinion too. That you get to vote on who holds power. And maybe it's time to vote for a government that will actually listen to you and put your needs first. Because better, it's possible. And I can tell you, Alberta's New Democrats, we're ready.